But we all know that in dating, like status is a big motivator and nobody can admit that. But once you admit the truth, it's like, oh, everything makes sense. And then you deal with it however you want, but at least start from the truth, right?
I love what you're saying. And the one thing that I've learned is if you tell the truth in dating publicly, you will get destroyed. Like your business will be over. And I could give you some deep insights. For example, the word seduction is banned on almost every social media site that exists.
Okay.
It's up there with a cuss word. So I can't cuss, and I also can't use the word seduction, which is, as far as I'm aware, a clinical term. And yeah, you cannot use it because you will get blacklisted.
You can show porn, but you can't.
Oh, right. Yeah. It's crazy. And I love what you say about status being a huge factor. And the more I understood the happy chemicals, I realized how much they come into play in dating.
Yes.
And this gave me such a competitive advantage. There was, and I've always used things like this as an advantage. So I was on a podcast of a dating coach a little while back, and he says, but we all know it's about vocal tone. And I was like, I mean, vocal tone could be a factor. I was like, but I would argue body posture is going to affect vocal tone more because of how you're using the diaphragm. I would probably recommend Alexander technique before I started saying to someone, fix your vocal tone and all your dating problems go away. But it's that knowledge and clarity that you've given me specifically with the happy chemicals that let me realize, for example, and again, please correct me if I get any of this wrong because you are the expert. But I found that if you're not providing a serotonin release to your partner in a relationship, they start to seek it elsewhere. And I've seen this in relationships where someone's dating someone, but they kind of don't want anyone to know they exist. And they become addicted to social media instead. And their relationship starts to collapse because they just don't really want anyone to know they're dating this person. And I've seen people hide a relationship for religious reasons, for physical attraction reasons, for money reasons, for families that disapprove. I mean, all sorts of reasons. But it almost always transpires the same way. They seek that serotonin via social media or hanging out with friends, and even sometimes exaggerating, creating stories to constantly get that hit. And it's phenomenal to watch. When I sit down with the client, who invariably is the one that's being hidden, and I say, listen, your partner is hiding you. And they're hiding you because they're getting a serotonin fix from something else, and they don't want to get it from you. And if we can work out what that is, as you mentioned, it could be status. Your status needs to be higher. That will get fixed. So much of what we teach is based on your works. We recommend your book to every client we've ever had.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So I brought you, I don't know if you remember, I brought you all my theories, and I'd read your books, and I said, this is what I understand. Please fix, correct, course correct, help me understand it better. We spent a few days together, which I highly recommend. I don't know if you still do it. Everyone should do it. And if you can't, you missed out. And it gave me that final fundamental understanding. And from your works and a number of other studies, I created a matrix of human interaction and attraction.
By the way, people probably wondering what I told you. So I should just say that it was standard textbook evolutionary biology is basically what I told you.
100% with demonstrations in a zoo showing me the interactions of giraffe and how people misread body language. Every single word of it stuck in my head. And then I built around that in a number of psychological studies. I built a model of attraction, and my own model of attraction is a combination of everyone else's, obviously, but I found something that's very easily translatable and people get it. And it allows you to understand where you are today, where you need to be. And it takes into consideration status, the happy chemicals. We discuss cortisol and its impact on decision-making and higher thinking. And what happened is after that, I grew my company. I started making a lot of money, moved to America. When I was over here, I realized that being good at dating actually didn't mean anything. You also had to be good at business. And I remember I got voted the #1 dating coach in the world at a big dating convention. It was like everyone at the convention got to vote. And I won that 3 years in a row. And I'm never going to forget, I couldn't pay my mortgage the same week I'd won the award. Meanwhile, there was a guy next to me whose advice was literally, you need to vibe better, guys. Like that's a piece of advice. And, the kind of thing you'd read in Cosmopolitan magazine.
Just for, did you say a vibe or a vibrator?
Like, yeah, yes, just vibe, like vibrate with someone. Yeah, okay. Just generic, have good conversation without describing what that good conversation is. And yeah, it's fascinating because, we have confidence as one of our key triggers of attraction. But we explain that confidence comes from experience. The more you do something, the more confident you become. And we make analogies to driving a car and to anything in life, because people will tell you, just be confident, but no one tells you how to be confident. So we always break everything down into component steps anybody can follow that works. And there was this other guy that had no explanation for anything, making 10 times more money than I did. Mm. And that's when I realized I needed to learn business. I had to fully understand it. And so I went about applying myself the same way I do with dating for business. And now at this point, 2022, in the last 3 years, I really stepped things up during COVID because I had nothing better to do. During COVID, I stepped it up. Since then, I've helped over 1,900 companies grow, scale, or do mergers and acquisitions, or some very high level business things. I have a ton of successes under my belt. And I still use the same happy chemicals, except now it's about buyer behavior, customer behavior, making sure that we cover all of the things people might be searching for on a biochemical level, along with the product that you're selling.
Wow, that's great. Good. Well, I want to go back to just to clarify for readers. So when I say that status is central to relationships, I may not be saying it the same way as you. So I'm not saying you should go out and get status in order to get a relationship, because we all know that that has its pitfalls. Like then the person thinks, oh, they're only with me because of my status. But what I'm saying is that you have to be honest with yourself that that is on your mind and that is on other people's minds. And really the solution is maybe is the opposite of what you said. I think you do need to get your serotonin from outside the relationship, in the sense that we said, once you are with the person, they are no longer a new reward. And then you may find them disappointing. And instead of blaming them, you have to do other things in your life instead of saying, oh, they're boring me, because that would be considered like a love addiction, that you always have to have a new base.
Everything you said, I agree with. And on top of that, we have found ways to give people steps through that. So I agree, because what can happen, because you can see two sides. Sometimes people only want the fix from their partner, which can be very toxic because you've become codependent. Then you've got ones that become completely avoidant and they only find it externally. And we've found actually it's a lot better if you are far more picky about the initial subjects. So we get people to be very picky about who they date, to make sure the match is far more accurate. And therefore, you date somebody where you both have a similar driver to get the serotonin, and you want to do it together. And so now the drivers are together hunting for the serotonin, or together hunting for the dopamine. Yeah, if that makes sense. But yeah, you're 100% right, because there are so many ways it can go wrong. Yeah. And we try to help people navigate to what actually works. But yeah, you're totally right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very common for a couple to work together to pursue status. And you're right, that does keep people together. Although, frankly, I haven't found that. So, because you have to then, it's like to find that many things in common with one person, that you share your career side, but also your daily life side. It's a lot. It's great if you can find it.
Yeah, it is, and that's kind of where our focus is. What we've found that works really well is you don't have to be in the same career. However, you can share similar concepts.